Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and I'd like to welcome you to the Practical Stoic Podcast, where I give you practical Stoic advice for modern times. If you'd like to learn more about Stoicism, or if you want some added inspiration in your day, just go to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com. If you're interested in transforming your life with Stoic principles, then I also offer one-on-one coaching. To book your first free session, just head to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching and follow the links. But for now, enjoy this episode. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast. I recently had a listener ask me for some advice about friendship. And when I read her email, I wondered why I hadn't done an episode about this yet, seeing as Seneca has some of the most helpful advice on friendship that I've ever read. And so in this episode, I'm going to share with you some of Seneca's advice on friendship. And hopefully this will give you some new ideas for how you can both cultivate new friendships and also improve the friendships that you have right now. So Seneca probably spoke about friendship more than any of the other Stoics, and his advice can be broken down into two sections. First, how to find a friend, and second, how to be a friend. And Seneca really loved finding friends. In fact, he said, quote, "Great pleasure is to be found not only in keeping up an old and established friendship, but also in beginning and building up a new one." End quote. So here is some of that advice straight from Seneca about how to choose a friend. He said, quote, "Those people who judge a man after they have made him their friend instead of the other way around certainly put the cart before the horse." End quote. Seneca talks a lot about the idea that we should soundly judge a person before we decide to make them our friend. In fact, he also said, quote, "Certainly you should discuss everything with a friend, but before you do so, discuss in your mind the man himself. After friendship is formed, you must trust. Before that, you must judge." End quote. Your friends will be extremely influential in your life, and they will, to a large extent, shape the person who you will become. So before you decide to make anyone your close friend, it is imperative that you take some time to first judge that person and decide whether or not they are going to have a positive impact on your life. Epictetus also talked about being careful about the people who you spend the most time with. And if you haven't yet listened to episode number 22, called The Truth About the Company You Keep, then I strongly suggest that you do that now, because in that episode I share some great passages from Epictetus outlining the dangers of being careless about the people with whom you associate. So you might be thinking that there's a lot of advice about judging a person to see if they're right for you, but not much about what to actually look for. And so I'll get back to Seneca because he conveniently gave us a very simple and yet effective guideline for choosing a great friend. He said, quote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those who you are capable of improving. The process is a mutual one. Men learn as they teach." End quote. So, according to Seneca, you should find friends who are going to influence your life in a positive way. And not only that, but you should also welcome friends who you know could benefit from your own influence in their life. You know, when I was growing up, I went to church every Sunday, and one thing that they taught me in Sunday school was that we should all let our light shine. And basically what that means is that if you have talents, then you should share those talents with as many people as possible. If you have certain skills, you should share those skills. If you experience a lot of joy, then you should share that joy with others. If you can have a positive influence in the lives of other people around you, then you should share that influence. And I think that this is a great way to think about what Seneca said in that last quote, because it can be really easy sometimes to only think about how a potential friend may influence your life, but you should also be thinking about how a friendship could flourish as a result of your positive impact on that person's life. How can you use your skills, your knowledge, your love, and your joy to influence another person and help them to have a better life? How can you improve the life of another person, and along the way grow in friendship? And a word of warning also, because in all friendship there is a fine line between influencing each other and using each other. We should always seek to be positively influenced by our friends, and to likewise positively influence them. However, Seneca warns that we should not seek friendship for the sake of some kind of reward. He said, quote, "A person adopted as a friend for the sake of his usefulness will be cultivated for only as long as he is useful. The ending inevitably matches the beginning. A person who starts being friends with you because it pays him will similarly cease to be friends because it pays him to do so." End quote. So don't seek fake friendships based upon some kind of quid pro quo arrangement. If you become a friend because you can get something from that person, or if you allow people to befriend you because they know that you can give them something, then that is a surefire recipe for disaster. And moving on, now that we know how to choose a friend and how not to choose a friend, and what to look for and what to avoid, we must ask, how should we build lasting relationships once we have chosen our friends? Well, as I'm sure you have expected, Seneca has the answers. And Seneca's answer is pretty simple. It's based around full and uninhibited trust. Because once you've properly judged someone, and once you've come to a decision that that person is trustworthy and also worthy of your friendship, then Seneca argues that you should immediately place all of your trust in that person as if they were your closest confidant. He said, quote, "If you are looking on anyone as a friend when you do not trust him as you trust yourself, you are making a grave mistake, and have failed to grasp sufficiently the full force of true friendship." End quote. I think this is a truly beautiful mindset, because that's exactly what true friendship should be. You should feel completely comfortable sharing your whole self with the other person. You should feel comfortable sharing your darkest moments and your highest of highs. You should share with them your deepest secrets, and you should laugh together about your most embarrassing moments. Your friend should know everything about you, and if you don't feel that comfortable with that person, then you don't have the true friendship that Seneca is talking about. I wanted to share one last quote from Seneca because I think it really brings up a great point. He says, quote, "The things you should share with your friend are all of your worries and deliberations. Regard him as loyal, and you will make him loyal." End quote. This is a beautiful message, and one that really highlights the kind of trust that you should have amongst your true friends. If you do decide to trust a friend, then you should share everything with that friend, and as you do, Seneca suggests that their loyalty towards you will grow, and they will become even better friends. But sometimes your judgment may be off, and you'll share too much with a person and they'll betray that trust. That's just a fact of life. But when you find a friend who you can truly trust, a friend who knows everything about you and you know everything about them, then that's where Seneca's formula for true friendship really comes into play. Because there's nothing like having a friend who trusts you as much as you trust them. A friendship built on this mutual trust is a friendship worth keeping, and a friendship worth growing. So, to recap on Seneca's advice, first you must soundly judge a person to decide if they are a person worth associating with. Then you should decide if they will be a positive influence on your life, and if you can be a positive influence in their life, and all the while making sure that you are not starting a friendship for the sake of its usefulness. Then, if you decide that this person is a respectable person, you should fully trust in them, and you should hold nothing back from them. If this trust is mutual, then the friendship will flourish, and you will both feel as though you can be your true authentic selves, nothing hidden and nothing held back. Friendship is a beautiful and essential part of life. The Stoics taught that although we should be self-reliant and able to live happily in solitude, the sage will still prefer not to live without friends. I hope that this advice from Seneca will help you with your current friendships and also your future ones. And I can assure you that as you begin to put all of your trust in your closest friends, you'll find that your relationships will be far more fruitful than ever before. You'll experience greater joy, love, and closeness, and you'll understand what it truly means to have a friend. I'd like to thank you all for listening to this episode of the podcast, and I really hope that it's been valuable in your life. I'll talk to you next time, but until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I hope that you've gotten a lot of value out of it, and I hope that it helps you to live a better life. If you have enjoyed the podcast, then don't forget to subscribe so that you'll be the first to know when there are new episodes. If you really love the podcast, then I would appreciate a positive review, whether that's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever else you listen. Don't forget that if you're interested in one-on-one Stoic coaching, then you can head to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching to book your first free session today.